This Council now becomes Committee of the Whole Council to consider the Fire Safety Buildings Amendment Bill 2024. Members may refer to the appendix to the script for the debate and voting arrangements for the bill. Members have been informed that the committee will conduct a joint debate on the clauses and amendments, and I propose a question to you that the following clauses stand part of the bill. Clauses 1 to 41. The Secretary for Security will move amendments which seek to amend clauses 1 and 18. Members may refer to the appendix to the script for details of the amendments. Members may now proceed to a joint debate on the clauses and amendments. I will first call upon the Secretary for Security to speak, but he is not required to move the amendments at this stage. Then I will call upon members to speak. Upon the conclusion of the joint debate, the committee will first vote on the clauses with no amendments standing part of the bill, and then vote on the amendments. Secretary for Security. Chairman, I now move the government's amendments to the Fire Safety Buildings Amendment Bill 2024. Details of the proposed amendments have been circulated to members by the Legislative Council's Secretariat. I will now briefly explain the amendments. The first amendment relates to the commencement date of the Fire Safety Buildings Amendment Bill 2024. Clause 1 of the bill specifies the short title and commencement date of the amendment bill. Under the current provision, the commencement date will be appointed by the Secretary for Security through a Gazette notice, which is a piece of subsidiary legislation subject to the negative vetting by Legislative Council. To implement the various measures in the amendment bill, including the defaulted works mechanism and other related measures, and to enhance fire safety in target building as soon as possible, we propose to amend the relevant provision to allow the bill to come into operation on the date on which it is published in the Gazette. This will spare time in order that the amended ordinance will come into operation as soon as possible. That will demonstrate the government's commitment to improve fire safety in old buildings. The second amendment pertains to the drafting of the Chinese text of a provision. In response to the suggestions of the Bills Committee, the government has refined the proposed drafting of the new Section 19 M(1) in Chinese in order to make the provision easier to understand, with corresponding amendments made to the English text. This provision relates to applications by enforcement authorities for closure orders. Drawing reference from the mechanism for defaulted works under the Buildings Cap 123, we have included this provision on closure orders in the amendment ordinance as a contingency measure. The provision enables enforcement authorities to apply to the court for a closure order in respect of a certain building, allowing government contractors to carry out defaulted works without posing risks to occupants or the public. The final amendment is a technical one. Under the amendment ordinance, enforcement authorities intending to apply to the court for a closure order must, at least 7 days before the date of the application, post a notice of the intended application in a conspicuous location within the relevant building. The proposed new Section 19M(3) requires the notice to clearly and legibly set out the effect of the proposed closure order in both Chinese and English, so that the affected parties will know clearly when the order will cease to be enforced. However, the reference in this provision to Section 19T(1), which deals with the recovery of costs and surcharges for defaulted works, is not directly related to the closure order. Upon further consideration, we believe there is no need to set out the effect of Section 19T(1) in the relevant notice. We therefore propose the amendment. The Bills Committee agrees to all of the above amendments. I urge members to support and pass these amendments. Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Tong Li Tse. Thank you, Chairman. I speak in support of the amendment moved by the Secretary for Security in the Fire Safety Buildings Amendment Bill 2024. On behalf of G19, I support all the amendments as well as the third reading of the bill. There aren't many amendments in this bill, but it doesn't mean the Bills Committee did not seriously consider the bill, nor does it mean that the administration did not factor in or take on board members' views. They concern the publicity efforts as well as the support measures. They aren't directly related to the provisions. In relation to the threshold and priority of defaulted works and the recovery of costs of defaulted works and the enforcement of encumbrances, new owners the administration has pledged to draw up guidelines and promotion measures so that all parties will comply with the new requirements under the law. The first set of amendments is in relation to the commencement date of the amendment ordinance. The commencement date will be changed to the date on which it is published in the Gazette as an ordinance. I welcome this. As I spoke in the second reading debate, however, will the government be misunderstood to the extent that owners will drag their feet and not carry out the works? Will they sit on their hands and wait for the government to carry out the defaulted works? I understand it doesn't mean the government will send officers to carry out the defaulted works right away. There are still a lot of process in between, say, selection processes, but I hope the administration to announce the priority and the criteria for defaulted works as well as the list of buildings that are going to have defaulted works to be carried out, so that those who are sitting on their hands to wait for the administration to carry out defaulted works will not be able to do so. For buildings which have not yet complied with FSDs, I hope these buildings will be announced on the website of the FSD. We need to do this as soon as possible. We don't have to wait until the completion of defaulted works. The other set of amendments have to do with the drafting of the provisions. Quite many Hong Kong legislation, especially the Chinese text, is difficult to be understood. Some people said that you can refer to the English text. That gives the public the impression that Chinese comes next to the English version, or only those who know English will understand law. I believe this is far from the fact. I understand out of different historical reasons, the English drafting comes first before Chinese drafting. Some English legal jargons is the administration afraid that there will be ambiguity between English and Chinese? Both English and Chinese are official languages. They enjoy equal footing in the Hong Kong legislation. We need to face the situation squarely. I'm not asking for a one-off review of all the Chinese and English texts of Hong Kong legislation. But we need to attach importance to both English and Chinese. Does any other member wish to speak? If not, I now call upon the Secretary for Security to speak again.
Chairman, I have spoken on the Fire Safety Buildings Amendment Bill 2024 and the government's amendments. I will later move the government's amendments. Hopefully, I will have the support of the electrical members so that the fire safety of old buildings and composite buildings can be enhanced and that we can protect the life and property of the people. Thank you, Chairman. I now put the question, we now first vote on the clauses with no amendment standing part of the bill. I put the question to you that the clauses with no amendment as set out in the appendix to the script stand part of the bill. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed. We now vote on the amendment. Secretary for Security, you may move your amendments. Chairman, I move the amendments as set out in the appendix to the script. I propose the question to you that the Secretary's amendments be passed. For those in favor, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the amendments passed. Clauses 1 and 18 as amended. I now put the question to you that the clauses as amended just read out by the clerk stand part of the bill. With those in favor, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed. All the proceedings on the Fire Safety Buildings Amendment Bill 2024 have been concluded in Committee of the Whole Council. Council now resumes. Secretary for Security. President, I now report to the Council that the Fire Safety Buildings Amendment Bill 2024 has been passed by Committee of the Whole Council with amendments. I move the motion that this Council adopts the report. I now propose the question to you that the Secretary's motion be passed. In accordance with the rules of procedure, this motion shall be voted on without amendment or debate. I now put the question to you as stated. With those in favor, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed.